Right wing is as right wing does. Right wing is as right wing does. White wing is as white wing does. Holler if you hear me, folks. And just like clockwork, I'm feeling like a broken clock. And the right wing, of course, is looking like a broken clock. They're doing their best Donald Trump impression. They obviously lost. They can't handle reality, so they're just going to pretend they won. See if they can throw a hard enough temper tantrum to get what they want. Sound about right? Sound about right. Okay, a bunch of creepy weirdos who, once again, when they don't get what they want, they resort to violence. They resort to coercion, threats, intimidation. Well, the left wing doesn't get pushed around like that in other countries. They're not a bunch of fucking pussies outside the United States. You understand? They have some teeth to them. They will meet you in the breach. If you want to go there, they'll go there. So I'm going to read to you a little bit about what's going on, and then we'll go from there. But isn't it funny? You know, the right wing loses in the UK. Rigged. They lose in France to a massive coalition and they cry rigged. I mean, really? They lose in Mexico and they say it was rigged. Now they've lost in Venezuela and they're claiming it's rigged, just like Donald Trump said it was rigged in 2020. And look, let's keep it real. The only reason they're doing it outside of the right wing camps is because the media told them to. Right wingers are always going to do it, but liberals, moderates, conservatives, and stuff like that elsewhere, they're being told to do it by their media who wants the opposition to win. And the media down there is controlled by the opposition. So, of course, the polls and the exit polls and everything's going to look all rosy for you guys until reality sets in. And you see the Million Man March in Caracas yesterday and you realize, uh-oh. Look, I want to read to you this real quick. A thread on the Venezuela election results. The U.S. government plan for Venezuela's election all along was to generate a fraud and crisis by creating false and unreliable exit polls to deceive people and global public opinion into thinking the far right opposition had a 40% lead. Nobody who lives in the real world thought that the opposition could even win by more than like 4 points. I'm just keeping it real. I gotta throw that out there. You are deranged if you thought they were getting anywhere near double digits. Okay, in separation, not gonna happen. Before the polls even closed, which by Venezuelan law only close when the last person on the line gets to vote, U.S. politicians and their Latin American allies started demanding vote results be respected and prematurely declaring victory for the far right opposition. As soon as Venezuela's actual election authorities announced the first results, the opposition cried fraud without any evidence or facts. Sound familiar? This is the same voting system that has allowed for members of the opposition to win other elections in recent years, and the same thing they did last time. They cried foul last time because they lost. But the very politicians that actually won their seats, they didn't step down. They didn't have the integrity to step down. They didn't say, the voting system's completely a fraud, so I'm going to step down. No, they said the voting system's completely a fraud, except for where I won. I won fair and square. Everyone else won unfair and unsquare. Yeah, sure thing, pal. Venezuela has a record for over 20 years for having one of the world's most transparent election systems and the only one where 54% of votes are immediately audited. Now the Western media, billionaires like Elon Musk and the U.S. government all come together to label Maduro a dictator. Yeah, what happened last time Elon Musk tried to lead a coup against a Latin American country? We freaking turned that around on a dime, pal. And now those golpistas are in prison where Elon Musk belongs. By the way, if you're a billionaire, keep your fucking mouth shut when it comes to shit like this. I'm sorry for my language, but this is so serious. This is so serious. Keep your cake hole shut, or pie hole if you please, right? And just enjoy the billions of dollars we let you have. We've smoked you out of this weasel burrow. We've smoked you out of some other muskrat burrows, if you will. All right, and we're going from there, right? You have to accept that. When you stick your head up, we're going to come for you directly. Just like we have to go at Donald Trump directly. Just like we have to go at Elon Musk directly. Just like we had to deal with Bloomberg and Tom Steyer and Howard Schultz directly. Any claims of fraud in these elections must be substantiated with actual evidence and facts and not prefabricated CIA talking points. The people have spoken. The Bolivarian Revolution is won. I want to read to you a headline and a response to it from the New York Times. Yeah, that paragon of truth. Give me a break. Venezuela's autocrat is declared winner of high stakes election. The results, which would give Nicolas Maduro 6 more years as president, is likely to be disputed by the opposition. The voting was riddled with irregularities. Any evidence to support your claim? Assertion without evidence can be dismissed without evidence, and extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And that's going to be a big problem for you. Ronnie Kullock responds, "This is a lie. The New York Times is lying to cast down the election of a socialist leader they do not like. Over 800 international election observers across Venezuela saw a transparent and efficient process, not irregularities, as the NYT says. Even voters in opposition areas expressed satisfaction with the process." Alan MacLeod says, in response to a CNN article that states, "Both Venezuela strongman Nicolas Maduro and opposition claim election win. As U.S. Voices series concerned," he's got a perfect response to this. He says, "It is true that both candidates claim they won, but only Maduro was actually declared the winner by the relevant authorities. That CNN doesn't inform readers of that in the headline is a disgrace, and exactly what you would expect a capitalist outlet like CNN to do for the capitalist opposition down in Venezuela, who is supported by their capitalist media. The opposition, once again, controls all of the media, the banks, the corporations, all of the valuable real estate. So you know what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to warp public perception. They're going to try to manufacture consent." Right? Ben Norton says, "Venezuela warns that there is an organized interventionist scheme to try to discredit its election results, led by U.S. politicians like Marco Rubio and Rick Scott, and right-wing pro-U.S. governments in Argentina, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Guatemala, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Uruguay, and the Dominican Republic." During a violent coup attempt in 2017, right-wing governments in Latin America, led by the U.S., created the so-called Lima Group to coordinate to try to overthrow Venezuela's President Maduro. Now the U.S.-backed coup supporters are trying to bring it back. The U.S.-led Lima Group is back, organizing another coup attempt in Venezuela. Peru's unelected coup regime boasts that right-wing pro-U.S. governments in the region are conspiring. I mean, the fact that Peru's right-wing coup regime wants to talk about democracy is incredible to me. You should all be in prison. You get that, right? Peru's unelected coup regime boasts that the right-wing pro-U.S. governments in the region are conspiring against Venezuela, Argentina, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, the Dominican Republic, and Uruguay. Uh-oh. Look, we got something for them too. We got something for them too. It's only a matter of time. We're coming for you bums too. You're a bunch of bums. You're chumps. You're chumps. We've dealt with clowns like you. Freaking ball them up and roll them somewhere. Look, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. You all expected this. You knew the folklore was coming out the second they lost. The fairy tales, the make-believe, the pretend. But you have to be reasonable. You have to be rational. You have to be logical. And I'll say those things again. An assertion without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. It can. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Do they not? Right? You have to remember things like that. And you got to use it on it. Make them prove it. Call them crybabies, whiners, and freaking temper tantrum. Because that's what they are. They're a bunch of freaking temper tantrum toddlers. Now look, I'm going to leave it at that. You know what's up.